Mazel tov. What?
Oh, sorry, you didn't follow me around that one. Okay.
Not even close.
Okay. No, I won't do that one. I'll do the other one. The Polish one. I'm just thinking out loud. Don't worry. Just like,
Okay.
the Lahadi. So you really prefer not that one. But I'll do it. I'll sprinkle it. The one,
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Maybe just like after a few times you'll really like it.
Yeah, maybe.
So maybe I shouldn't do it tonight.
You're all ready?
Yeah, I'm ready.
Hi, friends. Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom. Good to see all of you. Well, we're going to begin again. Our service is going to begin on page 130. And just as a reminder, if you have one of our thinner prayer books, if you have a prayer book that says Shabbat on the spine, you're going to see two different page numbers. You'll be following the page number in blue brackets. If you have a nice, thick, heavy book, you only have one option, but we'll still tell you the pages to follow. 130 is where we begin. And join along.
Let us sing unto God, sing unto God a new song. Let us sing unto God, sing unto God a new song. Yai lai la la, yai lai ya la la, yai lai la la, ya lai lai lai, yai lai la la, ya lai yai la lai lai, yai lai la lai 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 lai, yai lai la lai lai la lai, yai lai la lai ya lai ya la lai, yai lai la lai lai la lai, ai yai la lai la lai yai la lai lai, yai lai la lai lai la lai lai, yai lai la lai lai la lai. Yefune ranena la Adonai, nabia letzuri shenu, nekad mapanav v'toda, bizmirot nariya lo, bizmirot nariya lo. Yai lai la lai, yai lai ya la lai, yai lai la lai, yai la lai, ai yai la lai, ya lai, yai la lai lai, yai lai la lai, lai la lai, yai lai la lai, lai la lai. Let us sing unto God a new song. Let us sing unto God a new song. Yai la lai, ya lai, ya la lai, yai lai la lai, lai 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 lai, yai lai la lai, ya lai, yai la lai lai, yai lai la lai, lai la lai, yai lai la lai, lai la lai.
Yafeh. We're going to turn back to page 120. But before we continue, I'm going to ask you to do me a favor. It would be great if you turn to someone you don't know and reach out and introduce yourselves, share your names, wish a Shabbat Shalom. Well, she's going to come up and light candles now.
You two can come up like candles.
Yeah. Okay, friends, we continue again on page 120.
Okay, great.
Right now.
One second. Cassidy, 1 second. Can you take my mask off? I'm bad at that. You like the candle, Cassidy?
Yep. Right over here. Light them first.
Then I say the blessing after you light them. Now or after she lights
We're going to light them first, and then we'll say the blessing, and the cantor will join. You can blow it out right over here. Perfect. Put it right down there. Stay here with us.
Cassidy, say, Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav, v'tzivanu lahadlik ner sher Shabbos. Amen.
Wonderful. Cassidy is going to be our bat mitzvah this Shabbat. Come on this side. You're going to make a kiddush with us. Friends, we turn to page 123, and we'll ask you to please rise if you are able. 123.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, borei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav, v'ratzavanu, b'shabbat kodsho, v'yahava uvratzon, hinchilanu, zikaron l'maaseh bereshit, ki hu yom techila, lamikra'ei kodesh, zecher litziat Mitzrayim, kivanu lachata, ve'otanu kidashta, mikol ha'im, ve'shabbat kodshecha, ve'ava uvratzon, inchaltanu. Baruch atah Adonai, mekadesh ha-Shabbat.
Amen. L'chaim, take a little sip. Good.
Is this real alcohol? No, it's out. It's grape juice. Okay.
If you're thirsty, you can keep drinking. We are going to have a seat. You can return to your seat. Thanks, Cassidy. Friends, let's turn again. 134.
זמרו לאדוני בכינור, בכינור, וקחו זמרה. 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 זמרו לאדוני בכינור, בכינור, בקול זמרה. זמרו לאדוני בכינור, בכינור, בקול זמרה. זמרו לאדוני בכינור, בכינור, וקחו זמרה. זמרו לאדוני בכינור, בכינור, וקחו זמרה.
138 and 139, Lechadodi, the prayer from our mystics in Tzfat, that mountaintop in the land of Israel. We continue with the first 5 stanzas. After the 5th one, we jump to the very last one, and that's when we'll invite you to rise. If we're able, we'll face the open doors in the back of our sanctuary, and symbolically, we welcome the Sabbath bride into our midst.
לך דודי לקראת קלה, ילדי, 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 בני שבת לקבלה. לך דודי לקראת קלה, ילדי, 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 בני שבת לקבלה. שמור וזכור בדיבור אחד, השמיענו אחד ושמו אחד, בשם ותפארת ולתהילה. לך דודי לקראת קלה, ילדי, 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 בני שבת לקבלה. לך דודי לקראת קלה, ילדי, 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 בני שבת לקבלה. לקראת שבת לכו ונחה, כי מקור הברכה מראש מקדם לסוכה, סוף מעשה במחשבה תחילה. לך דודי לקראת קלה, ילדי, 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 בשבת לקבלה. לך דודי לי כלכלה, ילדה, 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 לשבת
נקבלה.
מקדש מלך, עיר מלוכה, קומי צאי מתוך ההפכה, רב לך שבט בעמק הבכה, והוא יחמול עלייך חמלה. לך דודי לי כלכלה, ילדה, 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 לשבת נקבלה. לך דודי לי כלכלה, ילדה, 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 לשבת
נקבלה.
התנערי ליפה קומי, לבשי בגדי תפארתך עמי, על יד בן ישי בית הלחמי, כל בעיניו שיגעלה. לך דודי לי כלכלה, ילדה, 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 לשבת נקבלה. לך דודי לי כלכלה, ילדה, 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 לשבת
נקבלה. התעוררי, התעוררי, כי בעולה קומי אורי. אורי, שיר דברי, כבוד אדוני עלייך ידע. לך דודי לי כלכלה, ילדה, 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 לשבת נקבלה. לך דודי לי כלכלה, ילדה, 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 לשבת נקבלה. בואי ושלום עטרת בעלה, גם בשמחה ובצהלה, תוך אמוני עם סגולה. בואי חלה, בואי חלה. לך דודי לי כלכלה, ילדה, 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 לשבת נקבלה. לך דודי לי כלכלה, ילדה, 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 לשבת נקבלה. Let's be seated. 142.
Shalom Aleichem, Shalom Aleichem, Malachei HaSharet, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech, Malchei HaMlachim, HaKadosh, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Boachem Shalom, Malachei HaShalom, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech, Malchei HaMlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Shalom Aleichem, Shalom Aleichem, Malachei HaSharet, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech, Malchei HaMlachim, HaKadosh, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Barchuni leshalom, Malachei HaShalom, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech, Malchei HaMlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Shalom Aleichem, Shalom Aleichem, Malachei HaSharet, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech, Malchei HaMlachim,
turn forward to 146 and ask you to rise if you are able. La, 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 la. Let's read together on 151 at the bottom of the page. Wisdom and wonder, passion and instruction, story and symbol. All these things your Torah gives to us. And the more we devote ourselves to it, the more it grows and gives. What could be a truer token of your abiding love than this holiest of your works and the living language that gives it form? Baruch atah Adonai, ohev amo Yisrael.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. 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 Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Leolam Vaed. Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Leolam Vaed. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad.
Let's be seated. 154.
ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך. והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבבך, ושיננתם לבניך, ודיברת בם, בשבתך בביתך, ובלכתך בדרך, ובשוכבך ובקומך. וקשרתם לאות על ידך, והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך, למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי, והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני Adonai Elohechem, Adonai Elohechem emet.
157. Let's read again together. Standing on the parted shores of history, we still believe what we were taught before ever we stood at Sinai's foot, that wherever we go, it is eternally Egypt, that there's a better place, a promised land, that the winding way to that promise passes through the wilderness, that there is no way to get from here to there except by joining hands and marching together. Let's turn the page.
Who is like you, Adonai? Who is like you, ונאמר כי פדה אדוני את יעקב וכיעלו מיד חזק ממנו ברוך אתה אדוני גאל ישראל.
Amen. Let's turn the page.
השכיבנו אדוני אלוהינו לשלום והעמידנו שומרנו לחיים השכיבנו אדוני אלוהינו לשלום והעמידנו שומרנו לחיים ופרוס עלינו סוכת שלומך ותקננו בעצה טובה מלפניך והושיענו למען שמך. השכיבנו אדוני אלוהינו לשלום והעמידנו שומרנו לחיים
164. We move into the tefillah together. We'll ask you to rise if you're able.
Adonai sefatai tiftach ufi agitei latecha. Adonai, open up my lips that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu ve'Elohei avotenu ve'imotenu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak, ve'Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, ve'Elohei Leah. Ha'el Hagadol, Hagibor ve'Hanora, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim, Ve'Konei Hakol, Ve'Zocher Chasdei Avot V'Imahot, U'Mevi Geula Livnei V'Neihem, Leman Shemo Ve'Ahava, Melech Ozer U'Moshia U'Magen, Baruch atah Adonai, Magen Avraham, Bezrat Sarah. Atah Gibor leolam Adonai, Mechayei hakol atah Rav lehoshia, Morid hatal. Mechalkel chaim bechesed, Mechayei hakol berachamim rabim, Somech noflim verofei cholim, Umatir asurim, Umekayem emunato, Lishenei afar. Micha mocha bal gevurot, Umido melach, Melech meimit umechayeh, Umatzmiach Yeshua, V'neman atah l'hachayot hakol, Baruch atah Adonai, Mechayei ha'akol. Atah kadosh v'shimcha kadosh, U'kedoshim b'chol yom yehalelucha selah. Baruch atah Adonai ha'el ha'kadosh.
Let's be seated. 175. Let's read together. You are with us in our prayer, our love, and our doubt, and our longing to feel your presence and do your will. You are the still clear voice within us. Therefore, O God, when doubt troubles us, when anxiety makes us tremble, when pain clouds the mind, we look inward for the answer to our prayers, and there may we find you, and there find courage, insight, and endurance. And let our worship bring us closer to one another, that all Israel and all who seek you may find new strength for your service. Baruch atah Adonai, she'otcha levadecha v'ira na'avod. Our prayer for peace on 178.
Shalom Rav al Yisrael amcha, tasim leolam. Shalom Rav al Yisrael amcha, tasim leolam. Ki atah hu melech adon, lechol hashalom. Ki atah hu melech adon, lechol hashalom. Shalom Rav. Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Tasim Leolam. Tasim Leolam.
Let's take some time for our own quiet, our own private prayers or reflections. If you would like to find a reading to reflect upon, you can look at 179 through 181. Choose a reading that might move you or challenge you. Otherwise, let's just take some quiet for ourselves.
On page 180. This is a newish melody for Yehiyu L'Ratzon. We've done it in the Shabbat morning services. We may have done it once here, I can't remember. But it should be simple to pick up. And there's a call and a response part. Yehiyu L'Ratzon Imrefi V'hegyon libi lefanecha Adonai tzuri v'gohali Adonai tzuri v'gohali. So I'll try that again. Yehiyu L'Ratzon Imrefi V'hegyon libi lefanecha Adonai tzuri v'goali Adonai tzuri v'goali. Now this is the call and response part. May the words. We're going to try that again. May the words. Of my mouth. And the meditations. Of my heart. This part is together. Be acceptable to you, Adonai, my rock and my redeemer. Yehiyu L'Ratzon Imrefi V'hegyon libi lefanecha Adonai tzuri v'goali Adonai tzuri v'goali. Beautiful, beautiful job.
If you took one of our handouts and you look on the inside, you will see a whole lot of names, folks that are in the midst of hardships and struggles. We are going to lift up these names along with others that we might share here in our sanctuary and we will join together in a prayer for healing, a healing of body and a healing of soul. So if you would like to share the name out loud, even if we're going to share them all together at once, we invite you to do so, and then we'll share this prayer for healing. Don Margolis. Our Misha Berach 371 in the middle of the page.
Misha Berach Avotenu Mekor HaBracha Laimotenu. May the source of strength, who bless the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say Amen. Nishaberach imotenu mekor habracha lavotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shelema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say Amen.
Speaking of healing, the Torah portion this week is called Tazria. Tazria is the Torah portion that is filled with all of these very specific, graphic images of something called tzara'at. Tzara'at, often in older translations of Torahs and Bibles, was going to be about leprosy. It ain't leprosy. It's never been leprosy. We have no idea what tzara'at is, but whenever it's time to have a student becoming B mitzvah with us, right? No matter who they are, they look at me, just like this Shabbat, and they look at me and they say, this is what I have to read about. This is what we have to do about. And I think there's such great stuff here in this section called Tazria Mitzora, all about tzara'at. And we have no idea medically what this might have been. It's something sort of like eczema. But what we do know is that it would impact their skin, it could impact their hair, it could impact their clothes. It even got onto their buildings. When it reached the stones of their homes, that was sort of like, this is my familiarity moving here from the Atlanta area, it was a lot like mold, right? They knew that something was bad, it was dangerous, and whatever it was also contagious. It spread, or at least that's what they thought it was. We have no idea medically what it was, but we know a few things. The priest, because there's no rabbis yet, a priest, a Kohen, had to be involved. The priest wasn't just the person who was going to be managing sacrifices, but was also taking care of the community, to the congregation, so to speak. And so this Kohen would go and examine the person with this tzara'at and see when it would be okay for them to join the community, because a big part of having this affliction of tzara'at meant you had to be separate. And this is something that kind of resonates for us in a whole new way the last few years. When there is some sort of illness that could be dangerous, the idea of quarantining ourselves, separating from ourselves, it was really difficult, and the rabbis struggled with this idea of separating people. Now remember, it's an ancient time and there's an ancient worldview. So the idea of separating somebody with something that they couldn't understand, it kind of made sense. But sometimes that separating people can be weaponized. I remember it's always the first thing I think of when I think of this Torah portion of Tazria Mitzorah. It's a double portion. That's what both sections are called. And I go back to the 1980s, and people with AIDS were cast away. They weren't cared for. They were really unjustly cast away because of fear. And so this separation that we're told to abide by that's in the Torah makes me worried. It makes me worried about how is it that we're supposed to care for somebody that's sick? Do we just send them away? Or what's our responsibilities for them? I don't think that Tzora'at, like our ancestors believed, I don't believe it was a plague. They did. I don't believe it was a punishment. They did. I understand where they're coming from. Because like us, they tried to make sense of a really complicated world, and people were hurting, and so they needed an explanation. They had to understand why. And if it was something that we did that was wrong, they could course correct. They could make a change. And so they felt better about that. For me, I wrestle with that. For me, it's a little too much of blaming the victim. For me, it's a little too much of a punishing God without us really knowing all of the different rules. And I think some of our rabbis were feeling the same way, because at a certain point, when you see this person with Tzora'at, not only do they have to isolate, but they have their own responsibilities. Their responsibility, when they see somebody else, if they have Tzora'at, they have to yell, Tameh, Tameh. Now, we don't really know how to translate Tameh. We know that it's sort of like impurity. Some old translations of the Torah will say it's unclean, but it's not unclean. They're not dirty. There was this ancient idea of a ritual purity. And again, that's hard for us in the 21st century, but for them, if they didn't keep this kind of ritual purity, they felt that God would be estranged from them. They wanted to bring God closer, not keep God away. And so they were always concerned about this impurity that also was kind of spiritually contagious. And it kind of makes sense if they believed that this was some sort of warning. Get our house in order before a real punishment comes. All right, I can understand that worldview. But it's from a few thousand years ago. And if this is going to be a living Torah, then how do we make sense of this? Was the person yelling Tameh, Tameh because they feel like they are filled with stigma and nobody should come close? Well, the rabbis of the Talmud say no. They say Tameh because everybody has a responsibility for another person. So on one hand, they say the first Tameh is about, be careful, I have this thing that we're calling Tzora'at, and you need to be aware. So even this person with an illness of some sort is saying to somebody else, I have responsibility for you, you have to be careful, and I'm going to keep my distance. And the second time they say Tameh is not because they have a responsibility for you, but you have a responsibility for them. They need some support. They need to be seen. They need to be cared for. We can't only have people separate. We have to take care of people. That might mean a quarantine. Been there, done that. But at the same time, we also have to draw closer. At the peak of this virus, and nobody was vaccinated yet, we were saying we needed to be separated from people, right? We needed to, and we all understand why, and it's not gone. So folks think it's gone, but it's not gone. And there's still people that are getting hurt from this, and thank God, there's a lot of people that are weathering the storm. Vaccines worked, groovy. But we were talking about being distanced from one another. But we have to be careful. We can only be physically distanced. It doesn't mean we have to be socially, emotionally distant from another person. So the rabbis of the Talmud say this tameh, tameh, this warning sign, only one of those words is the warning of be careful, I've got something. The second one is, I need you. I need your presence. Don't disappear. And if it was up to me to add an 11th commandment, I would say, thou shalt not disappear. Because whenever we have something hard in our lives, there's a lot of people whose inclination is just to kind of disappear. I don't know what to say, so better, I'm going to give them some room. I'm going to give them some space. Well, what happens if the person didn't ask for any space? We think that we kind of pull back to protect them, but I really think it's sort of protecting ourselves. We're not so good with vulnerable. And I'll never forget my mom saying this herself. Her husband died young, and all of a sudden there's a lot of her friends that stopped calling. They weren't sure what to do, and it broke her heart. And I remember it as a kid. And so when people are dealing with illness, divorce, loss, grief, how do we not show up? I think this person with Sara'at in the Torah who's told you have to yell out tameh, tameh, it describes all of us who have been afflicted. Unemployment, loss of wages, whatever it might be. On one hand, I think the tameh is saying, I need your presence even though I'm going through something myself. The person can't just be sent away alone. And sometimes we call out this tameh in order to isolate ourselves, and solitude isn't a bad thing. Loneliness is a bad thing. There's a difference between the two. But I think it's a misunderstanding to think that the text is trying to tell everybody, stay away from this person. What really needs to happen is to be able to say tameh, tameh, and have people respond, hineni, here I am, I'm right here, and then to ask, what do you need? What is it that you need? That's not intruding. Asking curious questions, that's intruding. Asking, what do you need? That's not intruding. That's showing up. And sometimes providing something without being asked is showing up. I'll never forget when my own wife's father died by suicide. She had some friends that sat outside just in case she needed them. And they just sat there. That's showing up. And we get to do that for each other. And I think that sacred accompanying is really holy. Holy, holy work. And it ain't easy because we're distracted and we have things to do and people to see. I get it. But I think we're here to do our part. Just our part, not even more than our part. So the next time somebody yells to you, Tameh, Tameh, all right, maybe they won't say those words exactly, but the next time we see somebody calling out for help, even if nothing is spoken, we can consider, how do we say and live, Hineni, here I am, as a response? So the last thing I'll share, we're in the midst of this time between Passover and Shavuot, right? Passover is the moment of liberation. Shavuot is the moment of revelation. God reveals a truth. That's the Torah. So we get out of Egypt. We travel for these 7 weeks. We make a pit stop at Mount Sinai, and we get the Torah. That's the plan. And the rabbis want to find every single opportunity to give us something to think about, right? They didn't have Netflix, and so everything is a teachable moment. And they believe that on some spiritual level, we open up these doors one day after the next, preparing ourselves to stand ready at Sinai all over again. And so the counting of the Omer in Jewish tradition is counting the days between Passover and Shavuot. And every day and every week has this symbolic meaning from different attributes of God. So today, in the counting of the Omer, it is the 16th day tonight. Remember, new days start at night, just so that we can keep everybody else on their toes. So tonight, we begin the 16th day of the counting of the Omer. The terms of these spiritual ideas are Gevurah and Tiferet. Gevurah could be strength, it could be boundaries, it could be rigor. Tiferet could be beauty, could be splendor. So if you have these two different ideas, one of strength and one of compassion, and today is the day to mark both of those qualities, well then what can we take away? For me, my suggestion is, let's make the connection between Gevurah and commitment, and Tiferet is compassion. Let's make a commitment to open our hearts. Let's try and make a new commitment to express some compassion. Somebody we haven't seen in a while and we know that they're having a rough time. Somebody that could use a meal from us even if they didn't ask. Somebody who can use a friend even if I don't know them so well. That is the Gevurah within Tiferet, the commitment within the compassion. I think we can build that bridge, and I think showing up is holy.
So we learned this last week. Man, two kind of newish things in one Shabbat. Uh-oh. So this, we're going to just, oh, Todd, thank you. Thank you for that head shaking. So we're going to sing this as a nigun. Page 570. The nigun to refresh your memories. הנני מוכן ומזומן לקיים מצוות תעשה. הנני מוכן ומזומן לקיים מצוות תעשה. של ספירת העומר של ספירת העומר, של ספירת העומר. ברוך אתה אדוני, אלוהינו מלך העולם, אשר קידשנו במצוותיו וציוונו על ספירת העומר, על ספירת העומר, על ספירת העומר, על ספירת העומר.
היום 16 יום שהם שני שבועות ושני ימים לעומר. Today marks the 16th day of the Omer, making 2 weeks and 2 days of the Omer. Let's turn 586 at the bottom of the page. We rise if we are able for Aleinu L'Shabech. 586.
עלינו לשבח לאדון הכל, לתת גדולה ליוצר בראשית, שלא עשנו כגויי הארצות, ולא שמנו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגורלנו ככל המונם, ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא, שהוא נוטה שמיים ויוסר הארץ, ומושב יקרו בשמיים ממעל, ושכינתו זו בגובי מרומים. הוא אלוהינו אין עוד, אמת מלכנו אפס זולתו, ככתוב בתורתו, וידעת היום והשבות אל לבביך, כי אדוני הוא האלוהים בשמיים ממעל, ועל הארץ מתחת אין עוד.
591.
ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ, ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד, ושמו אחד.
May be seated. Zichronam Livracha, may their memories be for a blessing. If you are observing a yahrzeit, the anniversary of one's death, or in the period of mourning, we invite you, if you choose, to rise for a moment, share the name of the one whom you are remembering, and then we'll continue with the additional names from the community. To those names, we also share these names. Those in the first 30 days, the period of Shloshim, we remember Lynn Ruttenberg Mandel, the sister of Nancy Bailey and the aunt of Lisa and Spencer. We remember Eleanor Ray Barron, the mother of Sandra Green, and our own congregant, Jeff Tatelman. And we remember Simon Benjamin Pulitzer, the father of Gary Pulitzer, the grandfather of Jake and Max. Those yard sites that we recall for this week that has passed. Tracy Ayers, William Bernstein, Anastasia Baradin, Margaret Bridge, Spencer Brown, Harry Cohen, Nathan Daniels, Joy DeMoss, Porter Downey, Doris Dreyer, Joshua Fishman, Marianne Gillespie, Marianne Glowinski, Shirley Goldstein, Helen Greschler, Lowell Herman, Gilda Kavar, Naftali Keikov, Eve Kessler, Doris Leaf, Jeffrey Levy, Isabel Margolis, Ali Margolis, Sam Medoff, Jim Nelson, Sidney Newman, Jane Reese Pitt, Abraham Pollock, Elizaveta Ragodorskaya, Lori Rice, Lenny Rothman, Warren Russo, Arthur Schlechter, Daniel Smolins, and Roger Vossler. Kaddish is on page 598. We stand together, shoulder to shoulder, symbolically holding up our friends who need to say a Kaddish this Shabbat. 598. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shmei rabbah be'alma divrach chirutei v'yamlich malchutei v'chayechon v'yomechon v'chayei d'chol Beit Yisrael ba'agala u'vizman kariv v'meru amen. Yehi shmei rabbah mivrach le'olam olamei almaya yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh v'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shemed kurusha b'richu leila min kol berachata v'shirata tushbechata v'nechemata da'amiran be'alma v'meru amen. Yehi shlama rabba min shemaya v'chaim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Oseh shalom b'mromav hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'al kol yoshvei tevel v'yemeru amen. May the source of peace send peace to all who mourn, all who hurt, here and everywhere. Let's say amen. We can be seated. Cassidy, come here for a second. I want to tell you something. You're perfect.
Okay.
Right there. This is Cassidy. Say hi. I want you to know that we really respect you. Oh, you knew that? No. Yeah, sure. We do. We sat some weeks ago and we looked at this Torah portion, and there was something that compelled you to share tomorrow morning. Sort of maybe another step after some of what I shared tonight. And I see you great open-heartedness. And I'm glad that you're here. And we're glad that you are a part of our community, growing and learning and challenging and thinking. You're a good thinker. And that, I think, is it's going to do so much more than serve you well. I think it makes you an authentic human being. And that's what we see in you. And I'm excited to see how your Jewish journey and your life's journey continues to unfold here in community and beyond. So from Our community, our congregation, we have a yad for you. I know you've seen this before. So this is a yad. We hope that you use it well and often, and that it will not just remind you of this Shabbat, but also have another hand, because that's what a yad is, another hand helping you find strength and comfort as we journey forward. So mazal tov to you. You're welcome.
Mazel tov.
Okay, there you go back. You came in late, guys.
Gotta be quick. Right, okay. We're gonna close with Oseh Shalom. Page 180, or you probably know the words. Oseh Shalom bimromav, hu yaseh shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'al kol yoshvei tevel, ve'imru, amen. Oseh shalom bimromav, hu yaseh shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'al kol yoshvei tevel, ve'imru, amen. Ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la. Oseh shalom bimromav, hu yaseh shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'al kol yoshvei tevel, ve'imru,
So we wish you a Shabbat Shalom. Wish your neighbor a Shabbat Shalom. Let's bring our prayer books back to the carts, and we'll make a motzi and wish each other well just inside that social hall. Good Shabbos.
Hi, I have a question. The stained glass windows, me yishton?
It's a text that has to do with a mountain top. The one who dwells. Shakain, it comes from the root of shakain, which means dwell. So the one who dwells in the mountains, I think, is the rest of the text.
Right.
But I don't remember which source it is.
Yeah, no, I was just curious because I
Yeah, but you had the Hebrew
familiar.
right. You had the Hebrew right.
Okay.
So, yeah, great.
But yeah, it's very limited.
That's okay. That's okay. Oh, no, wait, hang on. Zahar Hoshachai. The one who dwells in us. Hey, how are you doing? Good. Yeah? Okay, it's a little rough. Yeah, rushing is always a word. You got here, you did it, it's okay. Yeah. And this is a community that supports you, so. Thanks.
she'll do a great job.
Oh, yeah.
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 So that, yeah.
Do you need another hug or are you good? Okay. You're good. Okay. Yeah. So, yeah. You doing okay? Yeah.
And tonight she'll be fine because we're going to go out for her cousins are there. She doesn't know. The one from New Jersey, they all came out. So that's going to make her feel fun too. Yeah.
That'll be fun.
So,
And, tomorrow, 9:40,
yeah.
just to put things in place. You want to leave the
Why don't we say 9:30? It's easier to remember.
9:30, sure.
Yeah.
Do you want to leave it here?
Now what
Do you
time?
have your prayer book?
I left it at home.
Okay, that's fine. That's fine.
What time do I tell my friends? Because I sent them the live stream. But what time do I tell? Well, Shauna sent me
It's
something.
10:15. That's when it starts.
Okay, what time, like Bradley and Cassidy and all that, what time do they start reading from the Torah? And what time?
Oh,
It could be any time?
I mean, I can't give you an exact.
Like, is it the beginning or middle?
It's towards the middle.
Okay, so it's not 10:15.
No.
Okay, so I can,
10:15 is the beginning.
right, but I have a lot of Christian friends who don't want it. They have 15-minute services. So if I tell them the middle, like 10:15 to 12:15, we can't tell.
I mean, like, I just can't approximate.
Yeah.
Okay, so
We don't know if like the prayers are gonna go on.
Oh,
I just,
see.
it's like, I mean, I could, but like, to be safe, I would just
No,
have them tune in.
tune in by 11, say. That should be safe.
Okay, sure,
I mean, that's 45 minutes into it.
sure,
You know, or a quarter of 11, I'll tell them that.
sure.
Well, it's YouTube. They can have it on, and they can do what they want, and then when they see Cassidy rapping the kids, they can come back, whatever they want. But it's funny because a lot of them, you know, oh, did they just take out the candles? Oh, the candles blew out.
They did. This is some of the
Oh, so cute.
cross breeze. Yes. I'm about to release this for tomorrow. You're doing it in here.
Yeah.
Wow. With the break and everything. Yes.
Yeah.
The house. Yes.
Yeah.
Well, don't holler about it. Or I shall.
You told my
I
joke.
did.
I'm rubbing off on you.
Okay, so I'll just tell them that after 10:30, just I'll tell them 10:30, after, anytime after 10:30.
Don't worry, she's gonna start like this about
I'm very, well, I'm